Fremantle, one of the world's most prolific creators and distributors of premium content, such as America's Got Talent, The Price is Right, and Family Feud, reaching over 100 million U.S. households, leverages Elemental TV's AI-powered One Audience platform to offer advertisers access to its extensive library of iconic titles, all through a leaner, optimized supply path, lesser intermediaries, enabling increased brand safety and more cost-effective campaigns. Discover how at elementaltv.com/oneaudience. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Next in Media. I'm Mike Shields. My guest this week is Walker Jacobs. He is the Global Chief Revenue Officer and President of the U.S. for Dazn. Hey, Walker. Thanks for being here. How you doing?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you, man. We know each other for a long time. Tons of things to talk about. You're like my face of the sports media landscape right now, but I want to ask you about what's going on with you guys. You guys had a really interesting summer. I think lots of people know Dazn, but I don't know if everybody, they might have a notion of streaming, UFC, global, Skipper. So give us the 101 history. Tell us what the company's all about, where you are these days, what's going on.
Yeah. So, Dazn was built as a sports streaming pure play, and we've become the largest sports streaming service in the world. We'll do over 90,000 live events this year. We are large scale, fully distributed in many countries around the world. The service is available in over 200 countries and 200 territories and countries. But, we're one of the largest, if not the largest provider of sports in countries like Germany and Italy and Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Japan, and many others. So,
and to be clear, you're not talking just putting U.S. sports in a bunch of other countries. It's
way more than that. So, we have the domestic soccer rights in most of the countries I just mentioned. So, for example, in Spain, we're one of the two broadcast partners for La Liga, and we have Formula One in Spain and English Premier League. In Germany, we have a very significant package of Bundesliga and the largest package of UEFA Champions League and many, many other sports. Italy, we have every match day of Serie A, for example. So just to give you a sense of the scope of what we're doing, we work with all the largest rights holders around the world. But, you mentioned American sports. We also are a very significant player in American sports. We have a major partnership with the NFL, and we distribute the NFL product called Game Pass International. The closest thing that an American fan would know is Sunday Ticket, but it's Sunday Ticket Plus. It also includes NFL Network and Red Zone and Thursday Night Football and Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football as well. It's available
in some countries. You don't have it's. You're not going to have the broadcast games.
Exactly.
It's like everything NFL.
It's everything NFL available in every country in the world outside of the U.S.
Right.
So, we just announced a few weeks ago, we're going to be doing something very similar with the NHL, which we're really excited about starting this season. Obviously, that won't include the U.S. or Canada. Also, it doesn't include a couple of the Nordic countries. Right. But for the most part, we're going to be bringing this great American sports content to fans all over the world. So we're really excited about it.
And then this summer, so it was. I remember we bumped into each other a couple. I don't know. This is probably like a year and a half ago. You were telling me about this. You guys basically created a brand new global soccer event, if I'm framing this correctly. And this summer was the first time it came together. Give us the whole story of how that came together and what I'm talking about here.
Yeah. So you're kind of right.
That's most of my career. I've heard that. Yeah.
So FIFA has had this tournament called the Club World Cup, which was imagined to be a tournament of the top club teams in the world. So, it's teams that play in the conferences like the Premier League and Serie A and Bundesliga. So obviously, in La Liga, we have a lot of familiarity with the top club teams in the world because we do so much of the domestic production and distribution of the domestic football. And so I think we were a very natural partner for FIFA to come to when they wanted to make this thing much bigger than it had ever been and sort of reimagine it. I think leading up to the World Cup in the U.S. in 26, they envisioned putting this tournament in the United States in 2025, this past summer. And it came together very quickly. We spent time with them really at the end of last year imagining what this could look like and partnering with FIFA on a deal. And we became the global broadcast partner for the FIFA Club World Cup. We were producing every single match, so 63 matches, 32 teams. And then in the end, it included a playoff match, a play-in match as well, between Club America and LAFC to earn that final spot. So it actually ended up being 64 matches. We did broadcast partnerships in many countries around the world, but we made the service available to stream for free to soccer fans everywhere in the world on Dazn. And it was by far the most ambitious thing that we've ever done. And, we got to show incredibly competitive tournament for the first time in many cases that the top clubs from around the world, places like Brazil and Argentina and Mexico, were playing the top clubs from England and France and Italy and Germany, which was incredibly
if you
exciting.
think of the World Cup, if you only know the World Cup as country versus country, this is this is like if you did the Yankees versus the Tokyo Giants versus it's all the big teams from all the big leagues across the world.
That's exactly right. These are club teams, so these are teams that have players from, in many cases, all different countries around the world that they have assembled on their side, but they represent a very specific club. So this was the top clubs in the world. So think clubs like Chelsea and Man City and Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern Munich, and the top clubs in Brazil and Argentina and Saudi Arabia and Japan and South Korea. There were 3 MLS teams in the tournament. Yeah. So it was the Seattle Sounders and Inter Miami. And then LAFC beat Club America to earn a place in the tournament as well. So there were 3
Which
MLS
you might not
teams.
think, right? Yeah. Like we're my weak knowledge of soccer, you wouldn't expect us to be as competitive, but that's kind of a cool story.
Yeah, I mean, Club America has one of the strongest fan bases of any club in the world. They're the largest team in Mexico City, and huge fan following. I would say like they're the Mexico equivalent of the New York Yankees, and seeing their fans show up in LA for this play-in match was. It was wild, and it was the first match we did, and seeing it on DAZN and all these different languages all over the world, it was really, really cool to see it all come together.
So how did it all go? I mean, you're doing this is a complex undertaking. You need a lot of streaming capacity. You don't know about the viewership. You're doing simulcast with cable. So I'm sure it was crazy. How did it all go? Like, what did you learn?
It was amazing. I can say now, it went as seamlessly as it could have. I will tell you, we worked on an accelerated timeline. So, a project of this magnitude, in an ideal situation, you might have 2 years to plan something like this. Right. We did it in less than 6 months. The level of complexity was high. We were in 13 languages and broadcasting into 196 countries and 200 plus territories around the world. It was we thought that we were building the capacity to have it be the most streamed event in the history of the world, and making sure that the tech is going to hold and be stable, that the complexity of the production works, that the talent and the studio shows work, that we're able to deliver it to our broadcast partners seamlessly. It was the level of complexity was high, and of course we were managing advertising and advertising loads across platforms, both streaming and linear platforms, as well as the integrations into the broadcast and the sponsorships. We were doing studio shows, pregame, postgame, halftime, and shoulder programming. And it was just so incredible to watch it, Mike. I got to tell you, it was such a great tournament. The matches were competitive. The viewership was incredibly strong. And we had really high expectations for the tournament, and it exceeded even the high expectations I had.
Did you have to do, you said you had 6 months to get ready. Did you have to get some more streaming capacity, bring in some new ad tech partners? Did you have to do a lot of, plumbing work to get this ready, or were you kind of already set up?
Well, we do large scale events, but they tend to generally be more domestic in nature. So, we'll do things like the Clásico in Spain, which is Real Madrid versus FC Barcelona.
But not huge everywhere.
Exactly. And so it's easy. It's easier for us to manage the capacity with CDNs and making sure that we have the ability to handle the sort of live simultaneous viewership. When it's something global and simultaneous like this, it had never really been done before. I give our CTO and his team incredible kudos. The planning they did to make sure that our platform was going to be stable and be able to handle this. They did all the incredible planning. They're the best I've ever worked with, I have to say. And, when the tournament's getting ready to start, you cross your fingers and
Oh
hope.
yeah.
And so,
because we all love to pounce and scream when things go wrong, right? Either the fans or the press.
That's right. And so, you do everything you can to prepare and do everything. But, when you're doing something that's never been done before, there are always complexities and variables that you didn't expect, and things can go wrong. And so, what I would say is the team did everything they could to make sure this thing went off seamlessly, and it did. And you take that as a win, and you take the lessons learned from it, and you hope that the next one goes as smoothly as this one did.
Did you guys kick around? You could have said, "Well, we're going to make this exclusive only to subscribers," but then that caps your exposure, and it's like you're trying to promote this and make this a bigger event, a global. Did you guys debate whether to have a broadcast partner or not? Or was that always sort of the strategy?
Of course, everything was debated. I think from the outset in our agreement with FIFA, we wanted to make the tournament free. We wanted to make this a huge event, so we wanted to make it free on Dazn everywhere in the world. Whether we kept it exclusive on Dazn or whether we had linear partners, like in the U.S., for example, we did an incredible partnership with my old colleagues at Warner Brothers Discovery and TNT Sports, where we did all of the production together. We did all of the ad sales together. We did all of the talent and all the production meetings and studio shows together. And we produced 64 matches together, but we put 23 of them on the Warner Brothers Discovery networks, and all 64 were on Dazn. So, we were able to maximize awareness and viewership. We were able to provide a great broadcast product to the cable footprint of TNT Sports. But at the same time, we were able to meaningfully grow viewership on Dazn and make Dazn a household name to U.S. sports fans that watched the tournament. And Dazn branding was persistent on the broadcast on TNT as well. We did the same thing in Spanish language with Univision. I think we put 15 or 16 matches on the Televisa Univision networks, but we produced the entire tournament similarly with them in Spanish language. We had different partnerships in different countries around the world. In several countries, we were exclusive on Dazn, and we kept it for ourselves. France would be a good example of that. In countries where we're fully distributed and we have millions of customers,
you've got the base already set up. It makes sense to keep.
Exactly. It's less controversial. It's easier to do that. And the upside of the linear partnerships is less obvious.
Right.
So, I think we weighed the economics. We weighed sort of what's the best deal. We weighed what's best for the fans. We weighed how can we develop the best product. We were also moving on an accelerated timeline. So we wanted to work with partners that we thought were sort of best in class and could move quickly and sort of understood what we were trying to accomplish and were excited to partner with us on it. So we're really happy with the partners that we ended up working with on it.
I hope you took a summer vacation. This is like
I did.
It's exhausting hearing about this, like the complexity of the last year.
It was so ambitious. We've known each other a long time, Mike. I've gotten to work on some really cool launches. I got to work on the March Madness launch, the first time we put all the games in their entirety on television and streaming.
Which was a huge deal at the time. People forget.
It was a huge deal. It was a partnership between TNT and CBS. And, we did the Thursday Night Football thing. I got to be part of launching Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. The first time it was exclusive there, and that was similar. But this was so global, and the globalness of it adds a tremendous amount of complexity on all aspects of something like this. And so it was the most complex launch I've ever been a part of. And yes, I did go on vacation. Literally the day after the tournament, I went on vacation.
I would think so. Turn the phone off.
Yeah.
All right. So you kind of hinted at it, but take a step back. It is sports has always played a humongous role in our industry, but it's a crazy time right now. It's more, it drives the upfront to a certain extent. It drives media rights and distribution. I mean, what do you make of so many things going on right now? You got the NFL Network, ESPN complex deal where the league actually owns part of the media. You got YouTube doing its game. Like, how do you even start there? What do you make of the state of sports and streaming right now?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's different in different countries. I think obviously you're asking about the US, so I think maybe
Yeah,
we should focus on the US
sure.
marketplace. I mean, sports are extremely hot. As you said, sports is what drove the upfront marketplace this year. And it's no secret why that is. Sports is what's driving viewership, and it's what's driving so much value to the media owners. When you look at sort of the two sides of the coin, you've got the linear networks that have it's almost like, I don't want to exaggerate and overstate it, but it's almost an existential requirement to keep sports.
To keep the lights on to a certain degree, or it feels like that.
Well,
Yeah,
to hold viewership, it's been such a strength historically for them,
yeah.
and it's the thing that has continued to perform the best and the most consistently. I saw a statistic. I think 80 of the top 100 broadcasts in 2024 were live sports.
Yeah, it's like, and most of it's the NFL with like a few exceptions. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, and it varies year to year. With one of those 20 is like the show that immediately follows the Super Bowl, and
Right,
it's so
right.
you start to look at the impact of sports, particularly in a year where you don't have an election cycle. It
No,
becomes that much more. But live programming between sports and news is really, the driver of so much of the value that the incumbents have enjoyed. And then obviously the streamers are much more aggressive coming after these rights, and much more aggressive in terms of understanding the value and understanding that it's a way to drive new subscribers. It's a way to drive, to reduce churn. And
yep.
it's a way to drive engagement and drive, usage of the product, and get people to enjoy the product. So, as the streamers become more competitive for the advertising dollars, they bring incremental capability that the linear networks, just technology doesn't enable them to do, of things like interactivity and addressability and attribution.
It raises the bar about what a sports broadcast is to a degree,
That's
right?
exactly right. And I think we're still scratching the surface of what that's going to evolve into.
Yeah,
It's no surprise that this is happening. And so, you see a move like, obviously we have a great partnership with the NFL. And so, I don't have any, insider knowledge or anything like that. I just read the same things you read, but that ESPN deal makes a lot of sense for Disney from my perspective. It gives them, durability in terms of that partnership for them, which is so important to
yeah.
the ESPN family of products and networks. And so I understand why they did that, and I also understand why the NFL did it. It makes a lot of sense. And they were able to capture a lot of value, and they were able to bring a company that has real expertise to the table to sort of help them enhance that product and deliver for the fans. So it makes a lot of sense, both from an economic perspective and from just a consumer perspective. Yeah. So, but we're at an interesting time, and I feel like we're kind of like we're seeing the beginning, or maybe we're like in the second or third inning of the game, to use a sports metaphor,
Yeah.
of sort of the collision of these two competing entities, trying to figure out the U.S. marketplace.
What do you mentioned you were at Amazon when you guys got Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that time? Like in terms of just the getting ready to take on something like that had never been done before, not screwing it up. Obviously it's a company that's steeped in technology. But what do you remember about trying to get ready for that time? And what do you think YouTube is going through right now, getting ready for their first NFL broadcast?
Well, it was an incredibly exciting time. Similarly to what I just described, what's happened with us here. Um, People don't remember this. It was a multi-year deal that Thursday Night Football had been with Fox,
Right.
and Amazon Prime Video was had been sort of a streaming partner in simulcasting the Fox broadcasts. But when the package moved exclusively to streaming on Amazon Prime Video, it wasn't scheduled to start for another full season. So we had the better part of 2 years to prepare for it. And then I think the league and Fox and Amazon sort of all realized that having this sort of stub year of Thursday Night Football living on broadcast, knowing that it was going to migrate off eventually, probably wasn't in anybody's best interest. And so we accelerated our partnership a full year early.
I did forget about that. That because that would have been a weird situation.
Yeah, right. And so probably wasn't in anybody's best interest to do that.
Yeah.
And so we were in a similar race. And so we had to move very quickly, and we recruited a team. I recruited an amazing leader over there to run the sales team, Daniel Carney, who came over from ESPN, and we built a team of people. And my memory is that in year one, like at least in my mind, our North Star was don't screw it up. Like
Right.
make sure that we deliver a great match and a
Don't
great
completely
broadcast.
reinvent the NFL
Exactly,
overnight, because no
exactly.
one needs that right away.
Well, and it was more than that. It was more than that. It was also like you have to realize in the advertising side, you're going into an established marketplace. There's established advertisers and
Yep.
established NFL broadcasters. There's a certain way they're used to doing business. And if you're a new entrant and you think that you have the ability to change the way everybody,
You guys have been doing it wrong for 50 years.
exactly.
Like good luck with that. Yeah.
And so, what we really wanted to do was be a good citizen and participate in the marketplace in a way that customers wanted to work with us. And then we had so many great ideas of how we could make the product better, how we could innovate on the advertising side, we could innovate on the measurement side, how we could innovate
Right.
with interactivity. So much of the capability that being a streaming service like technically is enabled by, and so much innovation. But um, we really resisted sort of moving too quickly on some of those things and focused on delivering the basics and proving that we could deliver a great broadcast and that the talent
Yeah.
looked good and when good studio shows and the tech was working perfectly and that there was no buffering and all that. And that like, just like the sort of like, and what do they call it? Was it Kierkegaard? The hierarchy of needs. I think it was Kierkegaard's hierarchy of
Sure.
needs. So like, just like get the base level needs of the
Yeah.
fans before you start moving up the pyramid. And, and I think I think we did that, and I think we did that really well. And I think you started to see in year two and year three, as we started putting on capability on top of, the insights and the ability to sell products at retail and the ability to do interactivity and the ability to do shoppable
Yeah.
ads and the ability to do, enhanced, copy splitting and putting different creative in front of different customers based on what you know about what's happening in that household. All of a sudden you start to see, the advantages of what a streaming platform can deliver. But what I remember most about that time is how excited we were, and similarly how nervous we were, and wanted to
Sure.
make sure that we could deliver a great product. And looking back now, it's obviously a foregone conclusion. But at the time, there was a lot of nervous people making sure that we could deliver a great NFL game.
Now, do you think YouTube's, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, because they're doing one game and they're Google, and you guys have all gone ahead of them now. Like this, should they be, do you think they'll be facing the same bandwidth advertising concerns, or is it going to be, the playbook's kind of set up now to do this? I mean, neither of us are there. We're speculating.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but I can give you my best guess. So my best guess is that, well, listen, the NFL is a great partner.
Yeah.
And the NFL, so the first game we had, week one in 2022 on Amazon Prime Video, was San Diego Chargers at Kansas City Chiefs.
I remember this. Yes.
And it did a 13 rating.
That was a really good game, if I remember correctly.
It was a great game, and it delivered huge audiences, and it was ahead of our sales estimates. And I remember I was at the game in a suite with all the biggest advertisers who wanted to be there when history was made.
Yeah.
But these were also the people that we invited because they had taken a chance and invested with us and helped us make this thing a success. And so, we invited our the partners that had helped make the thing a success to celebrate with us. But you're standing with them side by side. We had a Fire Stick TV in the suite, and we were watching the streaming in there. And you're like, fingers crossed, the ads are going to run in the right place, and the broadcast is going to work, and everything. And it worked. And I was getting every 15 minutes viewership updates.
Oh my God.
And I was seeing that we were delivering the viewership, and I remember just looking around the suite and seeing the customers and being like, "Oh my
Oh
god,
my God, because that could have
we're
been
going to
just
pull
like a
this off."
nightmare. Like, how do I get out of this room if it's
It
going
was
wrong?
it was high stakes poker for
Yeah.
sure. But everybody understood what the vision was, and that I think people had realistic expectations that Rome wasn't built in a day, and
Yeah.
and so they were invested in the vision and invested in the ride, and so I do think that our team there did a very good job managing customer expectations. You know, so the reason I mention that is I noticed that YouTube's first game is the Chargers and Chiefs.
Oh,
I
that's
don't think
funny. I
that's
didn't
a
realize that. Yeah.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
I think it's very likely to do a great number. I think that these are teams with a national following,
Totally.
and I think that they're doing everything they can to assure that YouTube's first foray into the NFL is a success.
Yeah.
And so that's I think smart. And so unlike what we had at Amazon, I think the thing that YouTube's going to run into that's challenging is they only have the one game,
Right.
and selling one NFL game and sort of getting the sort of attention of the marketplace when you're in a marketplace of competitors that have this a Sunday package or a Sunday
They want
night
to do
package or a
campaigns
Monday
over a
night
period of
package.
time, and yeah, that's not easy. Yeah.
Well, especially when the match is in week one.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be harder than they might expect. Like, one of the things that I remember, I think people just sort of assume that the NFL sells itself. It's super easy to sell. It's just, yeah, it's the NFL. And that's not how it really works. It's a very competitive marketplace. Every major media company has a package of some variety. You've got
That's true.
you've got Netflix in the game, you've got Amazon in the game, you've got YouTube in the game, and every major broadcaster in the game. It's very competitive, and so I don't know how they're packaging it. I assume that they're packaging it. They have the Sunday Ticket product, they have the Red Zone, they have obviously YouTube, and so their ability to package in really interesting ways and create season-long campaigns is something that I assume that they have done and is working effectively for them. But I don't know that. That's just my speculation. But I think if it was another company that didn't have all of the assets they have, I think selling one game early in the season,
An island would be a little
yeah, it's
hard.
hard. It's harder than people think it is.
Yeah.
But I have no doubt it's going to do a great rating for them.
All right, getting back to you guys, give me like where are you in this upfront marketplace right now, and then maybe what's next for you over the next 6 months and even going into next year.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of exciting stuff planned. We're not a major participant in the upfronts here in the U.S. Our footprint, prior to the Club World Cup, what we're really best known for in the U.S. is boxing.
Yeah,
we have an incredible slate of championship caliber boxing fights. We'll do almost 150 nights a year of fights on our service, including most of the biggest, if not all of the biggest. Everything from pay-per-views to championship fights and belt fights, undercards. And we work with most of, if not all of the biggest promoters in the world and the biggest fighters in the world. So, that is something we've had a lot of success with in the U.S. marketplace. Club World Cup, though, I have to say, was probably the first thing that put Dazn with many of the largest brands that traditionally buy sports. So, we work with most of the major agencies, and that gave us, we delivered at a really high level. So, right. We delivered the audiences, we delivered the ratings, and over delivered here in the US. So we have a lot of happy customers that want to do more with us and want to know what's next. We also have a business that I have the privilege of working closely with and leading, which is called Whistle Sports, which you might remember.
An original YouTube MCN at the time. And
that's exactly right. It's an MCN. We still have a little bit of the MCN and network capabilities, but we do a ton of original programming and we do a ton of social work with some of our partners. And we've got several original shows we're launching this fall. And what we're trying to do is figure out how to bring these businesses more closely together. Sort of the Whistle Sports, which are primarily lives on YouTube, and we clip it, and it lives across the social ecosystem on TikTok and Snap and so forth. And Dazn, which is primarily a subscription sports live event streaming service. So what we're doing with this slate of originals we're launching in the U.S. this fall is they'll launch as DAZN originals. We'll embargo them, so they'll be exclusive on DAZN for a period of time, and then they'll go wide as podcasts and as live shows. We've got some incredible talent. Yeah, it's really cool. So we get sort of the benefit of bringing audience to DAZN and launching these shows on DAZN and serving our fans and the people that have been with us. But we can also deliver on the sponsorship needs and bring in the sort of widest range of viewers and fans we possibly can. And then that gives us also a way to promote what's coming up next week, which hopefully will then become sort of a virtuous cycle. So that's our plan on our originals. I can't tell you too much more about them. I think based on the timing of when you're going to drop this episode, I can tell you one of them is called Downs to Business, which is a football show we're doing with Josh Downs, who's a receiver on the Philadelphia Eagles, and Caleb Downs, who's a safety on the Ohio State University. And
he plays Texas for opening week, by the way.
That's exactly right. And many people think Caleb Downs is the number one or number two player in the country. Certainly, many people think he's the number one on the defensive side of the ball. And his brother's an NFL player, and they're talking about the business of football, and they're talking about the impact of NIL and the business, the transfer portal, and the draft, and how to prepare for it, and how to use college to get yourself ready for the pros, and what happens when you make the transition, and everything that Caleb has been through, and working with marketers and sponsors and doing endorsement deals.
Interesting.
I think it's going to be a really cool show, and it's a little different take. But like the fact that these two guys are brothers and have had so much success,
and
one of them
stages,
is
that's
exactly.
Cool. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really interesting show. So that's going to be dropping in a week. I'm really looking forward to that. And then, there's a couple of other big shows that we'll be announcing in the coming weeks that I'm really, really excited for. One has got a major NFL theme, and so more to come on that.
Wow, we're
Mike,
teasing news here next to me. Awesome.
Yeah, and that I had mentioned we also did this NHL deal, but we have some other stuff on the DAZN side, on the licensing side. When we did the partnership with Televisa Univision, we actually picked up some Spanish language rights in the U.S. for UEFA Champions League and Europa League.
Okay.
We also did a Spanish language deal with Serie A. So we're going to have a lot of Spanish language soccer in the U.S. in the back half of this year and next year, which we're excited about. And I think you're going to see us continue to try to find opportunities, both on the original side and on the live rights side, that makes sense for us, where the economics make sense, where we think that it fits into our value proposition, and that it's going to help us build our U.S. business. But I can tell you that growing in the U.S. is priority number one for us, but we want to do so in a way that that is responsible and that is going to be durable. So we have to be very thoughtful and selective about sort of how we do that.
All right. Well, it should be fascinating to watch here. Walker, awesome stuff. Thank you for taking the time out here, and let's chat again soon.
Yeah, great to see you, Mike. Thanks for having me. Take care.